As former President Donald Trump launches his bid for a second term as president, there are still several legal clouds swirling around him. He is facing investigations in multiple states and districts across the country, starting in his home state, originally of New York. The state attorney general has sued the former president, 3 of his children, and the Trump organization for, quote, expansive fraud. There's also an ongoing criminal trial launched by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office against the Trump organization that's related to alleged tax avoidance. Moving down the coast to Washington, D.C., there's the Mar-a-Lago classified documents investigation. A federal grand jury has been impaneled and witnesses are being interviewed to see if Mr. Trump mishandled classified materials after he left office. And then, of course, there are the 2 January 6 investigations, one led by the Department of Justice. That one has been interviewing witnesses. The other is being led by the House Select Committee, which subpoenaed Trump for his testimony and documents. That subpoena is currently in the midst of a legal fight between the committee and Trump's attorneys. Finally, there is the ongoing investigation in Georgia by the Fulton County District Attorney over possible 2020 election interference. Trump was recorded, as you'll recall, calling Georgia's Secretary of State asking him to find missing votes. Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp spoke before a grand jury in that case, and Senator Lindsey Graham lost a court bid to avoid testifying. Now, this whole list doesn't even include the multiple lawsuits filed against Trump by police officers injured in the January 6th Capitol riot and writer E. Jean Carroll. Yesterday, a judge also threw out lawsuits from his niece, Mary Trump, and former lawyer Michael Cohen.
All right, Lana, thank you for that. Harry Litman joins us now. He's a former U.S. attorney and former Deputy Assistant Attorney General. He's also the host of the Talking Feds podcast. Harry, great to have you with us. As Lana just spelled out, there are so many investigations to keep track of. But in your view, which is the 1 or 2 carrying the most significance in terms of potential damages Trump could be facing? We've seen him face these challenges before and dodge them.
We have, but it's remarkable how many there are. If I was looking at her and it seemed like, she was doing the kind of campaign map that we've been looking at the last week, but it's just Trump looking, south, north, and east at really serious legal peril. I think the most perilous for him is the Department of Justice investigation into Mar-a-Lago. That, as you recall, kind of came to the fore suddenly in August with the service of a search warrant, but I think has lapped the investigation of January 6th, which is much more complicated, sprawling, etc. Fulton County also seems to have a real prospect for charges coming soon. That one, I think he'll be able to at least delay a bit with different legal challenges. But the Mar-a-Lago investigation looks to me to be pretty clean, very well developed. They've just had in the grand jury a witness of the sort that says to me as a former prosecutor, they are getting close.
Hey, Harry, the former president's role in all of these investigations, they can't be described as cooperative. I'm wondering how his run for president impacts what he is and is not willing to do in terms of either being subpoenaed or testifying, et cetera.
Right. He's always professed to be willing to do everything, and he's always, when it comes down to it, willing to do nothing except delay and, throw lightning bolts and tirades. I think we can assume it's the same. I think all prosecutors and investigators assume there's going to be no cooperation from Donald Trump. The January 6th committee assumes it. It's a huge national event, and the central figure will not give the American people the basic information that is, we really need. So I think we know his playbook. It won't be at all cooperative, but that's often the case with criminal defendants, and certainly the Department of Justice and Fulton County are ready to proceed on the assumption that he will be of zero help.
And Harry, I know you feel that the Mar-a-Lago investigation perhaps poses the greatest risk, but in most of what we're seeing here, you've got former associates of President Trump testifying, especially as part of the criminal fraud case here in New York. Former Trump Organization Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg testifying today and could potentially link Trump to crimes. What do you make of this potential testimony and the risk it lays out.
So it is big, but as you point out, this trial is against the Trump organization. They tried or were very close to bringing charges against Trump personally. Weisselberg, in fact, wouldn't cooperate, so he wound up having to plead guilty, and now he's giving testimony that basically does put Trump in the middle of a knowing fraud scheme to monkey with taxes so they would pay less and Weisselberg would pay less. So the testimony itself, I think, is very damning for Trump. It doesn't augur now a criminal prosecution, but it's very bad news for the Trump organization itself. The other point that the investigation in New York will create a monitor to oversee the Trump organization. So that's a whole separate kind of part of his brand and kingdom that is under real strong legal pressure.
Really remarkable. Lana will need to spell it out on a map each day just so we can all keep track of it.
And here it's like the weather or John King, whatever. Right?
Harry Litman, thank you for digesting all of that with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Lana. Thank you, Era.